My name is Seni Senghor. I am a survivor of April 10th, 11, 2000 students demonstration when, I mean, someone who was, let's say, who was to protect me intentionally feels that I will end your life here because that was his intention. If you shoot someone with a gun, whether you hit him on the chest, on his stomach, or his leg, your purpose was to end the person's life, and I believe that was his intention. Luckily for me, he shot me on my leg.
Good day, wonderful viewers, and welcome to Fine TV Gambia, your only viewpoint. Today, we are here at the Nana Conference Hall in Bakau to witness the first day of a two-day engagement on transitional justice and social cohesion, organized by the Women's Association for Women and Victims Empowerment, WAVE Gambia, in collaboration with the Post-TRRC Unit and International Center for Transitional Justice, ICTJ. This program brings together youth leaders, media professionals, and human rights actors to assess progress, confront existing challenges, and strengthen national efforts towards lasting peace and justice. So please stay connected as we show you how the program unfolds. Reporting for Fine TV Gambia, I am Ibrahim Toure.
Good morning to you all. I am Esa Sane, the Programs Assistant at Women's Association for Women and Victims Empowerment with Gambia. And I am honored to be given the opportunity to deliver the welcoming remark for this important occasion. It is with great honor not only to reflect on the journey of transitional justice since the TRRC, but also to chart a path forward, one that ensures the voices of young people and the power of the media are at the very heart of building peace, trust, and unity in our nation. The TRRC gave us a roadmap and a promise of never again. Yet, we know that this promise can only be fulfilled if it lives in our communities, in our schools, and in our public discourses, and in the everyday actions of citizens. Youth, who represent the majority of our population, must be empowered to lead this transformation. Media, as the amplifier of truth and accountability, must be equipped to tell these stories responsibly and inclusively. Over the next 2 days, we will listen to survivors, learn from practitioners, and engage in dialogue that bridges divides. We will explore how storytelling, responsible reporting, and youth-led initiatives can dismantle misinformation and ensure that we are all equipped to tell these stories responsibly and inclusively. This gathering is more than a conference. It is a call to action. Together, let us ensure that we commit to building a Gambia where justice is not abstract, but lived, where peace is not fragile, but sustained, and where the voices of youth and survivors echo loudly in shaping our collective future. On behalf of WAVE, the Post-TRS Unit and ICTJ, and our partners, I thank each of you for being here. May our conversations be courageous, our collaborations be fruitful, and our outcomes be transformative. Welcome, and let us begin this journey together. Thank you.
With esteemed colleagues, dear fellow youths, members of the media, and fellow champions of justice and social cohesion, good morning once again to each and every one of you. It is both an honor and a responsibility to speak today before you on behalf of Mr. Didier Giberi, who is the head of program for ICTJ Gambia office. Though he could not be here physically, he sent his heartfelt greetings and stand in solidarity with us today in this gathering. The theme of today's discussion, youth and media engagement on transitional justice and social cohesion could not be timelier. It speaks directly to our national journey and of reckoning with the past, healing wounds, and forging a future rooted in justice, truth, and dignity. This engagement is a meaningful contribution to the Gambia's transitional justice reconciliation agenda established after the end of the dictatorship in 2017. It aligns with the TRC final report and recommendation and the government-wide paper on implementation, and of course, the National Development Plan 2022-2027, which prioritizes youth empowerment under Part 6. It also supports the dissemination and implementation of national and regional youth policies aimed at reinforcing peace building and social cohesion. Moreover, this initiative reflects the Gambia's commitment to international frameworks, such as the United Nations Security Council Resolution 2250 and 2419 on youth, peace, and security, affirming the role of young people in preventing conflict and sustaining peace. Transitional justice is not just a set of legal mechanisms or institutional reforms. It is a moral and civic undertaking. It is the bridge that connects the pain of yesterday with the promise of tomorrow. It is an assurance that victims are seen, heard, and honored, and that the mantra never again is not just uttered but it is lived. This vision is echoed in the African Transitional Justice Policy, or the AUTJP, which calls for inclusive and participatory process that center the voices of youth, women, and marginalized communities. It reminds us that justice must be people-driven, not just policy-driven. Our own constitution of the Gambia affirms that every citizen has a right to take part in the conduct of public affairs. This is not a symbolic right, it is a call to action. Transitional justice must be shaped by the people it seeks to serve, but this journey cannot be done by institutions alone. It demands the full engagement of society, especially its youth and the media, which are very important in our society. These two forces, you will agree with me, are not peripheral. They are at the center and at the heart of every discussions. They are central to the success of any transitional justice policy in the world, including that of the Gambia. Young people are not merely inheritors of the future, they are architects of the present. Many of us were born in a Gambia shadowed by fear, silence, and systematic injustice. Yet we carry within us today the vision and the will to build a nation where justice is accessible, where dignity is upheld, and where unity is more than rhetoric. It is the reality. The African Union Charter in Article 11 affirms that every young person shall have the right to participate in all spheres of society. The same charter in Article 20 goes by urging states, including the Gambia, which is a party to this charter, to ensure the meaningful involvement of youth in peace building and conflict prevention. These are not just aspirations, they are binding commitments of which this country called the Gambia should abide by. Our voices carry weight as youth. Our stories carry the truth. Our energy and creativity, are essential to shaping a just and cohesive society. The ECOWAS Youth Policy, of which again the Gambia is a signatory or a member, recognizes this, calling for the youth engagement in international justice and post-conflict construction as a cornerstone of regional peace and development. To our colleague in the media, your role is very important and it is not passive. You are not bystanders, by the way. You are the storytellers of our time, the keepers of public memory, and the facilitators of national conversations. In moments of transition, your work becomes even more important. You have the power to reform by way of informing, to elevate unheard voices, and to hold institutions accountable. But with that power comes a duty. Of course, the duty is there must be integrity to resist sectionalism or politics and to prioritize empathy and accuracy of information. In doing so, you help build trust between citizens and the state, or their leaders and communities alike, and across generations yet unborn. The Constitution of the Gambia, in section 25, 1, guarantees the freedom of expression and of the press. These freedoms are not just protections, they are tools for transformation. The African Union Transitional Justice Policy recognizes the media as a vital partner in promoting transparency, civic education, and national healing. Social cohesion is not the absence of disagreement. It is the presence of mutual respect, shared values, and collective purpose. It is cultivated when we listen with openness, when we embrace our diversity with division, and when we pursue justice, not just for ourselves, but for all. The United Nations Charter, in its preamble, reaffirms faith in dignity and worth of human persons, and calls for protection of social progress and better standards of life in larger freedom. These ideals are not foreign, they are foundational to our work here today. This is why today's convening is so critical. It reminds us that transitional justice is not just a distant policy. It is a living commitment. It must be owned by the people, especially we the youth, and communicated with clarity and compassion by the media present. Let us rise to this moment. Let us use our platforms, our voices, our sweat, our blood, if possible, and also our network to tell the stories that heal our society and not to harm the society. Let us ensure that the path to justice is not only mapped in documents, but etched in the hearts of our people. As we engage today, let us use or do humility with mutual respect. Let us listen to one another here, learn from one another, of course, and honor the diversity of different perspectives in this space. Let us remember that this gathering is not just an event, it is an opportunity to grow, to connect, and to contribute meaningfully to our national development. And to each of us here present, know that many are called, but few are chosen. Of course, this is not the whole lot of the youths in this country. We are up to about 70% of the country's population, which means we should be at least 1 million plus. But then this is a call of many are called, but few are chosen. So therefore, use this platform wisely. Let us participate. Let us be purposeful. Let us be principled, and let us have a lasting impact. On behalf of Mr. Didier Gibari, who I'm representing here, I extend deep appreciation to WAVE and its partners for organizing this important initiative. I salute every youth and media professional present. You are just not participants. You are the engine of transitional justice and social cohesion in the world. I affirm ICTJ's commitment to supporting the consultative participation of youth in transitional justice agenda. We also affirmed or reaffirmed our readiness to collaborate with all stakeholders, youth-led organizations, youth associations, and individual young people to foster accountability and achieve the shared goal of justice, peace, and security in the Gambia and beyond. I thank you all for your kind attention, and I wish you all a rich and fruitful deliberation. Thank you.
Want to stand on the existing protocol to recognize the presence of Esa Sani, the program assistant with Gambia, and Samba Jao from the ICTJ. My dear colleagues, the Gambia Press Union is pleased to be part of this important capacity building training on youth and media engagement on transitional justice and social cohesion in the Gambia. The training will significantly enhance the capacity of journalists to effectively report on the plight of victims of Jammeh era, thereby ensuring victim protection, advocacy, and policy awareness. The training aimed at raising awareness is meant to enhance the capacity of journalists, thereby promoting media professionalism and responsible journalism. Victims of Jammeh era and times were subjected to all forms of human rights violations, including torture, disappearances, and abuse. This two-day capacity building will help equip journalists with the right requisite knowledge and skills, including reporting on the TJ process. Transitional justice reporting require a higher degree of professionalism. So therefore, I encourage you all to effectively utilize the training and learn from the best resource persons during the course of the two-day capacity building training. I would like to end by thanking WAVE, the post-TRRC, and ICTJ for facilitating this important training. We look forward to further collaboration with WAVE in our collective pursuit to strengthen the capacities of journalists in the media fraternity. On that note, I thank you all for your kind attention.
My name is Seni Senghor. I am a survivor of April 10th, 11, 2000 students demonstration. I, I could remember it was on a Tuesday. I know it's been 25 years since it happened, but I could still remember it was on a Tuesday. I was 17 at the time, and it was exams week. I could remember on second time. I mean, knowing the background of the family you are coming from, you're struggling with schooling, and it was difficult. So we had this American lady who was our biology teacher. She promised that the first 3 students in her subject, she would provide scholarship for them. And that Tuesday, we were to have our biology paper, of course. I did study the whole night preparing for it because I know where I was coming from. So I wake up in the morning, prepared for school. I left home with the belief that maybe I would do something at least to get myself a scholarship, which would at least save something for the rest of the family. But unfortunately, it turns differently when, I mean, someone who was, let's say, who was to protect me intentionally feels that I will end your life here, because that was his intention. If you shoot someone with a gun, whether you hit him on the chest, on his stomach, or his leg, your purpose was to end the person's life. And I believe that was his intention. Luckily for me, he shot me on my leg. And it took so long before I could step my leg back on to walk on it again. I could remember, this was in the provinces anyway, it was in the North Bank, in SL. If you are familiar with the area where the police checkpoint is, it's very close to the hospital, probably 100 meters from the hospital or so. So when we were coming home, before we reach the checkpoint, there was where we met the security personnel, and then they started shooting this indiscriminately, just like that. I mean, if you saw my leg and see where I was shot, you will understand this is somebody who was trying to run for his life, because I turned and it has to shoot on the side of my thigh. I felt something struck my leg, but I was not sure whether it was a blood or so, but I felt something struck my leg. I called somebody who was next to me. Actually, he was my uncle. I called. I said, I felt something on my leg. So I lift my leg up and then I realized blood was all over my hands. So he has to shake me on the floor. And then they managed to carry me in the opposite compound. So they used their back gate to took me to the hospital. But the moment I reached the hospital, to be honest, that was the last time that I could remember where I was until after 3 days. I think I waked up around 4 a.m. because I was feeling extremely hungry. I could not remember whether I ate the past days, 2 days or so. So I wake up, I don't know. I mean, I was not used to RVTH at the time. I've never been there before. So I was like, where am I? I saw a lot of people and every place was so bright. So I turned, I saw my dad. So I didn't even ask where. The first question was, I am hungry. I want to eat something. I said, okay, right. I think he knew I did not eat. So he provided something more like fruits for me. So I ate that and I I tried to move my leg. He said to me like, just be at one place. Your leg is paining, so you don't need to move your leg too much. I've been in that hospital for like 2 months. I actually had 5 different operations on my leg, 5 different ones. Which I mean, the last operation that I had was around 11 hours in theater, 11, which more like almost from 7 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, it was 7 in the morning till 6 p.m. in the afternoon. That was when I was taken out of the theater, and this was in Egypt anyway. Here in the Gambia, they could not do anything with my leg. The the only thing they did was to remove the blood from my leg, and that was it, because there were no facilities to fix my leg at the time, because you need to make sure you deal with the wound first before you work on the fracture, which took them 2 years, 2 months or more before they realized that maybe I would need maybe a more sophisticated hospital to get my leg fixed, which took, after that they recommended for an overseas treatment. Um, Imagine I was 17 at the time. I was one day they wake up like, you'll be taken for an overseas treatment in Egypt, without your parents anyway. You have to go with a nurse who escorted you. Um, the very day that I arrived in Egypt was around 3 a.m. in the night. So imagine 3 a.m. in the night as a youth at the time, 17 years. So I think I slept around 2, 3, 4 hours. So I was waked around 7 a.m. in the morning again. That this morning you are going for an operation. I was like, they just brought a form in my room and be like, you need to sign this form, and because you are going on an operation and we need your consent to sign a form. I mean, a young man who is not 18, you force him to sign a form, not knowing what was going to happen to you, and something happened. I'm sorry, I would not want to mention that here, but I mean, I was I was taken to the theater, and then um, because I lost my blood vessels were cut, and they could not repair it here because there was no vascular doctor in the Gambia here. So the blood could not flow down on my legs. So maybe if you are familiar with this, medical terminologies. I developed a gangrene on my toes. So yeah, because there was no blood flowing there, so it already ended up dying. So all what they recommended was for it to be amputated, and then that was the reason that form was given to me, and I have to at the time because they said that would be the best thing for me, which I have to sign, even though that was not my wish. I have to do it and then spend like 3 months in Egypt. After my first operation here, I had 4 other operations in between to fix the blood vessels and to repair the fracture. After the amputation, I mean, the surgery was not successful. I was taken back to theater again. It has to be open again, and then I have has to be stitched. I mean, which was at some point you will get used to it because you want all you want is for you to get your health back, so you would not mind. I, I mean, I can remember my last operation. I was chatting with the vascular doctor. Mm, I mean, he was more like he was more like a father to because I was not alone there. We were 3 in number, but he would he spent everything to see that we got what we want. Because at some point the bill that the Gambia government paid to the Egyptian government was exhausted, and then I had to have my last operation, which the hospital was not willing to do because they said they have we don't have money there for that operation to be conducted. So this Egyptian doctor has to pay for my last operation in Egypt from his own funding with the support of his family. So which we are so grateful for to him. Um, I I believe that was the reason why I at least get what I got, and which keeps me going. And I am thankful. I know of people who got worse than what I or experienced what I went through. I have a colleague who is a wheelchair bound for 25 years now. At least I can do things for myself, but he's been stuck at one place for 25 years without doing. Imagine as an adult, you cannot do anything for yourself. Even your own privacy, people will have to help you get certain things do for yourself, which I mean, it's nobody wishes that even for your own enemy. So at least I thank God. Um, the only message that I would want to send to the government is it's been 25 years. It's not 25 days. It's been 25 years, and we can't still say this is where they've been with the April 10th, 11 students. I've not seen it. The simple acknowledgement from the government, which they could have done, was to accept and take responsibility of what has happened. Public acknowledgement, at least for the implementation of the TRRC recommendation, at least to acknowledge that this what they did and the government has taken full responsibility of it, which never happens. A lot of killing has happened within Combo, especially around the Jimpex road. We asked for that avenue to be named after April 10th, 11 victims, still nothing. We asked for a public holiday either for April 10th or April 11th, at least to be recommended as a school holiday, if not a national holiday, which has not been happening since after all what has happened during the TRC and their recommendations. So I don't think we've been asking for much, even though we still have victims that need medical support. that are in dire need of medical support. We have a lady in our group who still has a bullet in her hand after 25 years. And they've not been doing anything. It's just been unfortunate. So, I mean, I know it's not easy, but I mean, we will keep pushing and we'll make sure we'll get to where we want to be. Thank you.
My name is Fabakari Bojang. Um, a son, to a victim of witch hunt exercise that was conducted by the former regime back in 2009. I am from Jambur. Okay, I could vividly remember those days I was attending upper basic school at Mindau. There was one fateful day when we came from school. When we closed from school, I was on our way coming back from Farato to Jambur. At our Bandaba, we found out there are a group of green youths and soldiers who converged themselves at our Bandaba. They were in a form of celebration because they were beating drums and they were heavily dancing. So on our way coming, we found them dancing there. My colleagues wanted to join them. For me, being somebody who is not who has not much interest in drumming or attending social events like that, I told them I'm going home. I will not stay here. So some of my colleagues joined them, but for me, I went straight to home. Okay, when I get home, I asked those I found at home what was happening at the Bandaba, because at the Bandaba we didn't have chance to ask anybody because those we were seeing there we were not familiar to them. I can say they are all strangers at that time. Okay, so when I reach home, I ask people. So I think I asked almost 2 or 3 people, but all of them, none of them ever told me anything meaningful. They all told me they see a group of soldiers and green youths together with these magicians dancing at the Bandaba, but they don't know. Okay, I took my lunch. When I finished taking my lunch, my grandfather, being the Imam Ratib of the village, called me. I went to him. I was sitting with him chatting. Then a messenger came from the Bantaba to my grandfather, the then Imam Ratib of the village. The messenger told him they sent him to inform the Imam that there are strangers in the village and they have a meeting. So he was invited to go and making an open ceremony, a dua for them. So at that time, being an old man, my grandfather being an old man, he called one of my uncle, one of his son, that's my uncle. He called him to represent him at the Bantaba. So he went to the Bantaba. He said upon arrival at the Bantaba, they said they will do the dua at the cemetery. Okay, so for them, being a group of soldiers heavily armed with gun AK-47, because I can personally see that, and the green youths, and then how powerful the green youths were. So he has no other choice but to go with them. He said, upon their arrival at the cemetery, a place where I myself, he showed me, they slaughtered a red hen at the cemetery, and also they did some sorts of magic magics inside this cemetery. Okay, so after that, then they came back. I think that was the dua they are talking about. So after when they came from the cemetery, my uncle came home and informed my grandfather, the then imam of the village, that this was what this was what has happened at the cemetery. Okay, being curious at home, while sitting at home, they called for people to attend their meeting. So at that time, during Yaya Jammeh's era, people are very scared, more especially when they saw the any to attend anything that the soldiers are included together with the green youths. So I know, according to sources, when they make the announcement, very few people opted to attend the meeting. So they decided to go around the village. Okay. What we understand was the event was very much calculated. It was organized purposely to identify the opposition figures in the community and humiliate them in a way the whole country will look down on them. Okay, so after that, they went round into the village. I was sitting at home. I never attend any. I never went there. I was sitting at home. All of a sudden, I saw them coming to our home. So when they reach our home, my dad, being the eldest son of the imam, was a very vocal somebody at the time because they have a very strong women group. They have a very strong group called the Yuruwakafu, which was a very a composition of only oppositions. They never voted for Yaya Jammeh. Okay, and my dad was the leader of that group at that time. So when they come to our home, the leader, who was the native of the village, no need to mention the name because at our village level, we've already did reconciliation. So the leader who was directing them told them, this man you are seeing is a magician. He hired people all the way from Casamas to come and blackmail Yaya Jammeh to end his presidency. Okay, I, being the eyewitness, I am standing. At that time, I think I was somewhere around 14, 13 years or so, or 15 years. I couldn't do anything. I have the anger in me, but I couldn't do anything. Okay, so at that time, we have three strangers in our home. Those are from Casamas. My dad did his early education, this Quranic education in Casamas. So after coming from Casamas, our home has been a home for these visitors from Casamas every time they are there. Okay, at that time there was this funeral. Those people come to attend that funeral. So that 2 days they were staying at our home. So when he saw that strangers, he told those magicians that these are the people.
Like I said, it is like it's a lot. And if you could please briefly explain what your society or what you are currently going through as a son of the British, so that we can wrap it up from not we can ask questions based on what happened.
That is
Because to be honest, the issues of which one, majority of us know about it. So we want to hear what are the changes that are happening in prison and what the media can do or other stakeholders after this proposal, and then from there, questions.
yes. I can say still we have a stain. We have that stain. I can say because our village Jambur. Whenever you say Jambur, everybody is saying the village of witches, which is not true.
So you have been stigmatized, or you are still being.
Not me alone, but the whole village. That's a matter of the whole village.
Okay.
So at this time, what what the villagers want is just a justice, because till now we have that stain, and the only thing that can erase that stain from us is justice. When the matter is taken to court, the whole the whole country knows these people were accused of being witches, but actually they were not witches. I think that's the only compensation. The justice, I can see at all, because this problem, we have there are insiders that are even staying at our village, but at our village level we were able to reconcile that at our village level. But the perpetrators were all outsiders, and they are government agents. So we will like justice. We only want justice. That's the only thing that can erase that sin from us.
I'm Monique Phillips. I'm with HR and Administration with WAVE.
We've witnessed you organize a very important event, invited stakeholders, including journalists. Why do you think it is important to organize this event?
Well, we invited the youth out because we need to hear the voices of the youth in the community in regards to transitional justice. And we believe that pairing that voice with the media and getting out their opinions and their involvement and engagement with transitional justice is important in the Gambia.
What role will WAVE play in this?
WAVE is reaching out to the community to assist those individuals who were affected by the previous regime. And with TRRC's rollout of the white papers and the recommendations, WAVE is assisting with those individuals and getting stories and feedback from the individuals who are affected and impacted by that situation.
So after this 2-day workshop, what next?
We will continue to do transitional justice, community outreach, and things to assist those individuals who are affected and impacted.
You invited journalists to be
Yes.
trained here.
Yes,
Why do you think, particularly journalists, to be part of this training?
because they need to be able to get the word out for what is going on in the Gambia. If there are no journalists, there's no one reporting, they don't know. And we need to pair the media with the youth so that they can have a voice to be able to communicate that.
Before we take a leave of you, what will be your final message to the viewers?
Participate in transitional justice, get yourself educated on it, and come look up and find out more about WAVE.
Abraga Bake, Ntelem Sana Kamara. I'm a Gambian journalist. Also specializing on reporting transitional justice issues, which I have started before the change of government in 2016. I've been doing that. And through that, I went to the ICC in The Hague. I was also a witness in the case. Maybe I use Mandinka in this book. Okay. So I was also the witness in the case in where the government journalists we took the government to the ECOWAS court. Of course, when I was back home here, also 2017 in March, I went to South Africa. I had an opportunity to visit Soweto, to go to the Appetite Museum. Also, while I was in Senegal, the Hassan Abed trial. I think just a few. But last year I was in Switzerland, this Mansongo trial, where I covered from the beginning to the end. Yes, I wasn't opportune to be in America, but I think that these are some of my experiences, of course, including the TRRC that we are all working on right now. So.
Imagine this time around you gave and other stakeholders say journalists were invited now for this program.
Okay, follow bring the invitation on you. I malafunung kananang because busy be caring the university and then be how you do fanata me manke from body. Gambia, I think we spend a lot of time on workshops every time, Kukilung simula kang workshop, and you don't see any good outcome at the end of the day. But bring nada yambi, nada kukudorje, no kukudo fana kalamuda. Of course, ku tamedon dolbi jam ngawol kachale. you know, ngawul kutayan dila koteng, but kacanyang kono bi kuto fana nata funde nang koten. Nata ya fana foninke journalist foninke jangabi jambi melan ko wol mang expose back in transitional justice kono, and it's an opportunity to put a fire karang intel bulu. Because transitional justice kulo me alonga manke kukilin ku tibikilin kuti. It's a process. Me alonga ko commence la continue kan. You know, and then but be men not take away moment men gana kumaran tele jang. A lot of people we are concerned about the rate of implementation. Comme TRC recommendation men di masa kundala. Iba implement kan nyamin aku anasita bakele. And that is a concern for a lot of journalists here today. And we are also pushing because this is not just about news kibaro nyinta, it's also about advocacy. It's a ben advocacy nyala fanya de kajo ko masa kunda ikana nyum kulu ikana nasia kula because transitional justice is about more lives, it's about more suffering, it's about nasamasini. Nying victimol mang healing soto. Nina madimul mang jara. Ni mang close soto close we ka fole ko komi ye mantoro soto e komando. Bara mantoro kilu ni hani bi ani ben yola. Nyo ko ni ma da soron. Bo kayro soto no. Dada dawda ni ko tari sonno mo ka tari kungole. Nga victim dan tan soto jambi ni me kajata. Victim mo do bi je muso me yalan ko ay reple soto no in 2015 2016 May during slow sanding during the UDP nkola trial ni be keren time na UDP leader so la trial be keren time na e parale me arrest no ye samba you know muso do je e fo se to la nyo yale wol han bi e man justice so da ko nyendo ando perpetrators do bi je e fon yelon because kambe do atan be nga nyo jala ma victim do je me alon ko April 10 no han bi ar ka tamado ko la April 10 no yata bu asim do you know ay jararo sifa beleke barala life o mamuru anyama ko tan donc mo hanabi wodo ma toro bi dakan ma victim do so me alon ko yata la alpha le mo don bo abondo ya jame bo abondo me ki jam hanabi wol buga kede fante la community kono because mo da dana ni mo ke ichodile ko kari fama kari bama munum bu walete yalon masakunda nyin sa nyin du no betel kan sa pour nga nyin ko be kensu nga ke mirankling nga ko nyinta nga kumfa uta masa kundal because banko betele bulu etele be masa kuna nyato ani tele nyin tiare si fana etele ba ko nyato so o ko nyin sa interjani sola manto nyanta kilometer wala mba ko nyin mba pusta nyaari ani mba ko nyin kuta kuta na nyaari wata ni wara masa kunda kanda nyin kado ni ma ko nyama ka tare nyin ala man sa man izi masa kunda sambo fana ma izi so wari dol nganyina wodola so bi dal nana janga kana ko kuma de bakel. Um, uh, my opinion, I told the presenter from the Ministry of Justice. The personal opinion, I don't think government is taking the matter as serious as it should. You know, looking at the implementation development or the rate, it's quite shocking because if we want to go at the current rate, by the time the government will accomplish 100% all the full implementation of the TRC recommended, it will be 2037. By that time, Baro will be history. So for me, I think the rate that they are going is like they're trying to make sure that Baro doesn't want to prioritize this, so that this thing will just be a responsibility that you want to transfer to another government. But this government, they are telling us, oh, we have done the laws, we have done this, we have done that. But imagine even the office that they are supposed to rent for the post TRC unit or for the special prosecutors court, they cannot even provide that for this. So how serious are they telling us that they are? Some of these things, they are not even requiring a lot of funding as they are making us believe, oh, lack of fund, lack of fund. No, we have existing courts that are here. There are dozens of perpetrators who could have been prosecuted by the Gambian courts. We don't have to wait for the special hybrid court to do that. The special hybrid court is for the big guns, Jame and Edward and Sana, you know. But the junglers are here. They have been under detention, and we release them because we think that on the new Gambia, nobody should be detained indefinitely without charge. Now you release those ones, and these are witnesses who have actually confessed to their crime. Just easily take them to the High Court. There's a special branch of the High Court where you could have prosecuted those ones so that the victims can see that government is doing something. But you release those perpetrators, we haven't properly set up the criminal court. And he said, no, we are doing laws, we are doing this, we are doing that. Since 2021, when actually the report, it was in 2020 when the actually government white paper came in. To date, it's like 5 years already. We have lost that. So I was asking the question, what happens if Barrow lost next election? Or he decided to step down next election? Of course, he's pushing this responsibility to somebody else. He's the one who is best suited historically to take care of this. No other leader should take care of this besides him. So for me, I think that is my concern, as a journalist and also as a former victim of Jame. Of course, I told you that I was a victim. I was arrested and detained here on 3 occasions. I had to leave the country for my safety. Of course, I was never tortured. I was never imprisoned, but I was always arrested and detained, and that happened on 3 occasions. So I am a living victim. I have witnessed it. I've seen my colleagues who have been tortured when they came from prison or detention, and they have not been themselves until today. And those people are also here. They all want justice. So it's about time that this matter we take it with the seriousness it deserves, so that it's not just a political game for the government.
So ye kuma kile ko mutu ya ko ni ya testimony di jan ni ya ko ye victim on the ko di ko de ni ya ko so traumatizing. So I think young journalists was shut down but like mo jama ka report at the time. So if they are to report on things like this, it will happen like
Okay, there is what is called ethical guidelines. Generally, journalism for ethical guidelines also. But when it comes to special cases, like case of children, case of victims of sexual and gender-based violence, well, government responsibility equal exercise as a journalist. Responsibility muso ko nyen ko ya nya pinkan dro ka mo forse to la nyoya manke muso dambana manga ka muso dambana ka ko forse to nya la nyoya. Of course, now I'm going to say testimony to I have no jail. Kill be a man sexual victim. And victim man get damn dom coming come proceed on your sexual and gender based violence. I cannot find a backer. You have more job you cover rape, but violence do be name moment I have torture. Name moment I have torture. Torture do be, for example, you must somebody you crown naki a kayabal. Most sexual violence. Ni be HIV AIDS personal fekeke ba trika e camera londa kan e ba awudol na la fengo bondi kan mo ba balo be je kan mo sexual violence le so akono fano dal mo nyandal gal so nyandal kan ni dol long wala na jama bi je nyanda ka ethical guidelines so dole so nda wandi recommend bi to the Gambia president wala jandi so mi ko interest so puta passion so ka nyin ko ka continent ya commencer ye mo identify na groupe créer groupe me alon ko be specialized training na sotola look at you because victim wala ko in the next 10-15 years na nyimbe tara nyola kam wol train mo me alan ko le specialized na ko wuta to wade mo kana je ngalon ko dum mo dum alan ko ya ko fa hamle ya makamo sotole and then isa dogo kenole watar ko e mam victim mo tora parce que reporting do be victim mo tora ni muso ala biya ko yende nyalo yende nyapin kan no nyin do kala nyin do ke do na talo nem video de data ya bon sa asignol na mo nyol be yala mantoro da yaita mi wolbe non dum go sans na tan ba be kari dum lem nyindi yalla society dum fanan keju nya do biye ni la ke manyo ya lom pa men ke dela ya bi be bola la society ngalo na kana so wa o siba kamala dum mo le biye nyam fan kantala men be ni report anno pour mo ke no fe mari sa training so training ni mo be mari be ma no pour ka lo nya ke dota e ba do ko ni.
Okay, final message. Any final message?
Baraka bag. Malaf na no ni event do because this year caring but ngajo every time we come workshop akasi abaka. So bari nana fa na ngamara manga kutu ngara manga kutu because na kutu karana bi ngamo kutu ngamo ngabiti mo do je me alon ko wol pass and nene no ma mebno before. So me boga janne with you know like kutu ngamen karang anu ngamen long kana me alon ko before ngana jam mo lon. So ndey organizer to la on benna politique journaliste of an MBA continue ñim ko la ka ñim ko kala because ñim ko be tamira le han yajem be baru bara jam ñim ko na ba continue la ñolal yajem eta dale bi anan sa vraiment ko baro fana bitala ben la ñim ko so de jani so de long the watch dogs for the society so ñanta na continue ñim ko la ngamu dani wakilo la ani ñim akina la ko la
Thank you so much.
My name is Samba Jao.
And the organization you represent.
I am representing the International Center for Transitional Justice, ICTJ Gambia office.
Can you tell us about this workshop, please?
Yeah, this workshop is actually organized by WAVE in partnership with ICTJ and Post-TRC and a host of other organizations. Basically, the theme of the workshop is youth and the media practitioners in transitional justice and social cohesion.
Yes, we have seen you invite journalists and other stakeholders here. Why do you think it is important for journalists to take part in this workshop?
Yeah, the importance of journalists taking part in such kind of initiative cannot be overemphasized. Knowing that the media is the fourth tier or the arm of the state, I don't think if there is anything complete, need exhausted in terms of implementing activity without the media, because it is the media that represent the voices of the people, the voice of the victims in the context of transitional justice. And of course, without the media, we can't be informed. So I think it is a very logical, thinking that the media is actually invited in this kind of initiative, because while we talk about transitional justice, the victims are the center, but of course, the media serve as the powerful voice of these victims. And like I said, without the presence of this media here, I don't think we will achieve anything, because it appears as if what we have said and what we have done is just going to stop here. So, to amplify the voices of the masses and the victims in particular, I think it is imperative for the media to be present.
After the completion of this 2-day workshop, what next?
Yes, after the completion of this 2-day workshop, what is envisaged is that we will have to at least continue this kind of initiative. I know there are challenges when it comes to finance and other issues, but that should not actually make us to rest on our laurels. So it is envisaged that this kind of activity would be the springboard to actually inspire and ginger others to also do it. With limited finance, it doesn't mean that without money you can't do much. There are a lot of things that you can achieve with little resources, with proper management. And of course, what we envisage is for youth to come together, dialogue, and that will actually build up what we call the social cohesion we're trying to put across. So peace is not about the absence of war. It starts within, and it begins with the youth and of course the media. So of course, part of what this activity seeks to do is to help media practitioners to understand how to report on transitional justice, how to blend them with the youth, and of course the victims who are the heart of our activities. So I think at the end of the day, we expect to see impact that is going to be catalyzed to another level. Yeah.
Before we take a leave of you, what will be your final message to the viewers?
My final message is let us come together. Government alone cannot do it. We are not politicians, but we know institutions alone cannot do it. The media alone cannot do it. But when we come together, there is a lot that we can achieve. United we stand and divided we fall. And as a nation, I think we are forging a very interesting chapter for ourselves as a country. And we can only do it better if we come together. And togetherness is strength. And I encourage everybody, the youth especially, and those that are in the media, to come together, and in togetherness there is unity. And of course, both the religion and both in terms of conventional wisdom has it that we need to come together, because without coming together there is no peace. So if we are peaceful, then that's when we can talk about other issues, because in the absence of peace there is nothing that you can achieve. So my words to those that are listening or the viewers is to come together as one Gambia, one nation, as one youth, and as one media. Of course, we have a lot of different media outlets, but we are one people. So when we come together, we can achieve a lot. And this initiative cannot be, the importance of this initiative cannot be overemphasized. It is very timely and very, very urgent. And I want to take this opportunity to thank WAVE, the organizers of this important activity. And I encourage them to keep up this pace and keep up the momentum. And by God's grace, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And we are almost at the end of the tunnel. And inshallah, I envisage that we'll see light. Thank you.
So my name is Imran Dawa. I work with Fantanka as an advocacy legal specialist there. So I support the advocacy program.
So why do you think it's important to participate in this kind of workshop?
Well, because since the beginning of the truth-telling process or the transitional justice process in the Gambia, civil society has been at the forefront of that. And Fantanka is one of those organizations that currently now form the Alliance of Victim-Led Organizations that has been at the forefront of transitional justice. And the significance of that is that over the years since South Africa started the conventional transitional justice processes on the continent, we've shifted or we've moved slowly from making transitional justice just a technical state process towards more inclusion, more participation of society's groups of people, especially marginalized groups. And so civil society has been that middleman kind of player that has been able to connect communities, societies with the technical processes, so making it more interactive and more communicative, and also encouraging ownership and victim-centeredness in these processes. So that is the significance for me.
You are chosen as one of the facilitators of this important event. Um, can you tell us your topic and also why do you think it's important for you to come up with that topic here?
Right. So I'm supposed to be talking on a panel that is discussing the role of civil society in the transitional justice process in the Gambia, and that is significant because the Gambian process is now looked at around the world as a model. And the reason I think that is because it, like I said, did not treat transitional justice as a technical process like a court hearing, for example, only. It made it into a national conversation, and that was made possible by civil society. So a lot of the successes that we talk about when we say transitional justice in the Gambia is actually thanks to civil society's role and participation, as well as the media, of course. And so that is why I think it's important to discuss that. And because, again, there is still a lot more to do in the Gambian process. And perhaps these discussions will also encourage other civil society organizations to see how important their role is in terms of also stepping up and taking up this issue of transitional justice implementation, which is the phase that we are in at the moment. Yeah.
Before we take a leave of you, any final message to the viewers?
The message, I mostly would send the message to the government. I think one of the biggest challenges that we're facing, even though the first part of our transitional justice has been well recognized around the world. The second phase, implementation, has been, you can commend the Ministry of Justice and the post-TRRC unit for the effort that they are making in pushing for implementation. But transitional justice was supposed to be a national project. That meant that the government, the entire government infrastructure, was supposed to be part of the implementation. But a lot of institutions in government have no idea, have no interest in this process. And that is why a lot of it is slow. That is why a lot of it is now looked at as a failure. That is why a lot of victims are frustrated. So I think it's time that all these government institutions factor transitional justice as a key part of their, projects and plans and strategic, directions. So I think that would be my message.
Good afternoon. I am Kadi Kesedi, the communications specialist at the Post TRRC unit.
What do you think is important to state this particular kind of question?
Yes, I believe it's important to conduct or manage or organize this event, that is the engagement of youth and media on transitional justice in the Gambia, because we know that the TJ process in the Gambia, it's a continuous process. We've gone through a dark side of history, and that is why it's important to organize such activities to be able to create awareness. As we know, awareness creation is not a one-time thing, it's a continual thing. So we've trained people, we've created awareness, we've gone into towns and villages and created awareness, but it's never enough. Every time you organize such, you have new people that are enlightened, that are exposed to know what is happening on the TJ landscape, but also to be able to understand what the government white paper is and also what the implementation plan is and how far have we gone on the progress of the implementation of the TRRC recommendations.
We've seen you invite a lot of stakeholders, including journalists. Why do you think it's important to train journalists in this particular kind of question?
Right. The media, we believe, are the fourth estate, as we say. I personally am a trained journalist, so I know how important it is for journalists to be trained on certain critical issues that concern the state or the nation at large. So for the journalists, it's a continual thing that we should engage them, we should train them, because they are the fourth estate. They hold government accountable. They also create awareness, educate people, and also entertain people in the society. So it's important that the journalists are part of this process, the TJ process, and they are aware of the progress of implementation. They are aware of the white paper. They are aware of the implementation plan, so that they can educate people. They can write about these stories. They can capture victim stories. They can also capture on the progress of implementation, so people can know. we know as a unit, a very small unit for that matter, we are trying to communicate to people. But the mediums that we use, the channels that we use, and the resources that we have are limited. So in having journalists to add on to what we are doing in communicating on the progress of implementation is going to be something of great importance, and is going to help us to create more awareness to the general citizenry on the implementation plan and the progress of the status of the recommendations. Yes.
So final message before we take a leave of you.
My final message would be that every citizen of the Gambia should make it incumbent upon them to educate themselves on the white paper and also the implementation plan, so they can know how far we've gone, how far how what we are left with, and all that. You tend to get the similar questions since 2023. We tend to get similar questions from people. When are we going to prosecute? When are we going to do the reparations? When are we going to do this? When are we going to do that? But are they actually reading the implementation plan? Because if you read the implementation plan, you understand that it has timelines on these recommendations. We have 263 recommendations, and each recommendation has a timeline. When we are supposed to start, when are we ending it? So there are certain recommendations that are supposed to start in, let's say, 2027 or in 2026. If you ask us why are we not doing that particular recommendation, then we are left with no choice but to tell you that you definitely need to read the implementation plan, because the time frame is there, the activities and the implementation and the recommendations are all based on timelines, and that is the timeline that we are following. So I'm just telling people to go about, if you can go to the Ministry of Justice website, www.moj.gm. You will download the white paper, and you can also download the implementation plan and address yourself with the information there is. Thank you.
I am Ramotulai Jata, a final year journalism student at the University of Gambia, and also an intern at West Coast Radio.
What have you learned from this event?
Okay, I would say I have learned a lot, because transitional justice is something that not everybody talk about, because most people believe they have little knowledge about it. That is why they feel like they cannot talk much of it. But then, as someone that participated for today, which is a 2 day training, I've learned so much, despite the fact that certain incidents happened even well before we were born, some of us actually. But then, according to the victims that actually spoke, which we felt so much, let's say, engrossed in their speeches, I tend to realize that I tend to also learn that the Gambia, although is a peaceful country as everybody sees it, but I've realized that in the previous regime, people face a lot of issues. Some due to a common protest, for instance. People are, people's rights have been violated. When I heard the victims speak, I was thinking, oh my God, in my head, we are the smiling coast of West Africa that we are told. But then, if you think of that past incidents that happened, will you still classify us as the smiling coast of West Africa? I tend to ask myself, I'm like, no, because if citizens of the Gambia themselves can, stoop to that level of shooting their fellow Gambians, or, torturing them, doing things to them that are despicable, I feel like, although yes, a lot has changed, alhamdulillah, a lot has changed since the change of government, but then I believe that there is a lot that has to be done. um, as one of the victims says, they're not asking for much. The only thing they want is for them to at least be given April 10 and 11 as, even not nationwide holiday, but at least a school holiday for them to be able to, like, a way of memorializing what has happened in the past. So I've learned that yes, this is something that they have been like, the lady actually spoke that, it's traumatic, I mean, the rape and everything, but still they are facing it. They are still living in the same communities. People see them with different lenses. Some will say, okay, you are the cause of it because you went there on the street that day. And then what actually she said was because they lack the understanding, and that is very important. It's because they lack the understanding. That is why they are looking at them in that kind of lenses, seeing them that, okay, you are the reason why this thing happened to you. So what I'll be saying, finally, is that government has a lot to play in this, and as much as CEOs have to, because they work together to make sure that some of the recommendations of TRRC are implemented. Although some are ongoing, some have been implemented, but not everything. So I believe with their intervention, a lot of things can happen and a lot can change in the lives of the victims because they are one of us. They are Gambians. They are brothers and our sisters, our mothers, our uncles, and our dads. So if we are seeing them in this kind of conditions, and then there's nothing we could do about it. Some need medical treatment, they can't get it. I mean, it's something that we as Gambians should really feel bad about. That if this was my sister, this was my brother, even if they have to go to overseas, I'll make sure I try and get something for them. As for donations, recently we see people who need medications. They ask on Wave, send this amount of no amount is small. Let's help the person. But how about someone that has been living with it for 25 good years, and you expect that person to just be there like that, no support? It really doesn't tell well. So we are urging the government and also CSOs to also come together and also work hard to make sure that the needs of these victims are being fulfilled, what their wishes are, even not all, but half of it is implemented, and also the recommendations from the TRRC. Yes, thank you very much.
What role do you think journalists could play to help these victims?
Okay, as an aspiring journalist or someone that is hot into the field, I believe when it comes to, let's say, bringing the voices of these people to light is our duty, is our responsibility as journalists to cover each and every event, anything that's happening in their life, because we are the ones that can, we are the watchdogs of the country. So whatever happens, either to victims or even other people, we as journalists have a greater role to play. We have to make sure that others who are not among us, or others that are home, let's say at home or other places, are able to see what is happening. It's because we have to stand in for them. We have to be their voices. We have to serve as the voice of the voiceless, as we say in school. So we have a huge role to play as journalists. We cannot just sit down and say, okay, I will just go and cover 2 or 3 events and then go. But then it has to be consistent. We have to be covering things like this. People need to know what is happening. That a person, that victim, how far with him or her, how is the medical treatment, has he gotten any treatment because he needs it? We have to make sure that their voices are heard, because if not us, who else will? Journalists, we are here for a reason. We are called journalists for a reason. So we are the only ones that can make sure that their voices are heard. We are the ones that can make sure that whatever is happening, either let's say in the daylight, or whenever it happens, we should make sure that we report it accurately and authentically to the outside world. Let them know that this is what this person is going through, this is what is happening, and this is what can be done to make sure the situation is remedied. So we have a huge role to play, I would say. We just can't relent. We have to work on it despite the challenges that we will face. It's not easy to be a journalist. The work is really hard. Going into the field, covering and comment is not easy. But yes, it is something that we fight for. It's something that we want to do. We love it. We do it because we have passion for it. So I think we should also continue with the work, being consistent, and also make sure the voice of the voiceless are heard.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
My name is Awa MCC. I am a reporter at N24 Radio and TV.
Being part of this training today, how do you feel?
So I am so excited as a media professional. In as much as we're doing our work, it's also important to build our capacity. And it is my first time of being part of this session, which is transitional justice process. And one thing I learned from the session is that in as much as we want to report on issues related to alleged right violations, we need not to re-traumatize victims. We need to put ourselves in their situation in ensuring that we report professionally, ethically, and ensuring that what needs to be told is. And what effort are we making as journalists in ensuring that there are some victims that are still claiming that they don't have justice? So what is government doing in ensuring that justice is served? These are some of the things I've learned for today. As today marks the first day, this is on set to continue tomorrow. Yeah.
As a journalist, what message will you have for the government with regard to the issue of the victims?
Yeah, so my message to the government is to actually ensure that the victims deserve justice, because the past situation is something that one need not to like face, because even those that have went through it, what they will say is, I don't pray anyone to fall in that trap. So we realize that there are people that have gone through serious issues, others having health complications, but you realize that still they are unable to have justice. The government really need to intervene in ensuring that those people that have that's right have been violated deserve the justice they need. Yeah, and to my fellow journalists that are actually part of the training, we all know that all of us cannot be here. To those that are able to be attend the training, we also should make sure that those that are at our newsrooms, those that are our colleagues that are not opportune to be here, we relay the message to them in ensuring that we also make things easier. Thank you.
Finally, your final message to the viewers.
My final message is I am glad and thanks to Fan TV for actually giving me the opportunity to actually share my view on this session. And I will urge each and everyone to, especially those in the societies, we all know that victims really face challenges. You don't need to traumatize them, put them in your situation and ensure that they feel space in the community. That's all. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.
I am Binta Jaju, a media personnel and also a youth leader in the community.
Yes, Madam Judge, you've been here since in the morning, attending this particular kind of workshop. Can you tell us what you've learned since in the morning?
Well, I learned a lot since in the morning. I can say it precisely. I learned about the transitional justice, the post TRC, its implementation, and also have the opportunity to hear from the victims that were tortured during the Jame era, and also those that were forced to disappearance, and also get to learn from the CSOs, the led organizations that are actually working hard to ensure that victims get justice, and also get to hear from the case itself, that is those that were raped during the the protest and many more, and then hoping to learn a lot between the students.
We've seen many young journalists and also aspiring journalists who are part of this event. Um, why do you think, in your own opinion, it's important to include journalists in this workshop?
Yeah, it's very vital for journalists to be part of such a training because reporting on such issues is very sensitive, especially when it has to do with sexual and gender-based violence. Because if you look at the victims that we are here today telling us their history, how they survived, the trauma that they have gone through, it's very, very crucial for a media to just come and then pick up that particular story and then to go on with it. And then it is important for us to know what were the findings of the TRC, and also what went wrong and what went right, looking at the implementation that the TRC always said, never again. But again, we are seeing that things are continually reoccurrence happening over and over. So it is our mandate as media to know what is happening, what the CSOs are actually doing to make sure that justice is served. So it is our mandate to come and listen to them, to ask them questions, and then from there we will know what kind of story to pick from here and to give to our readers and also to our viewers to know what it's our stand as media to report on these issues. Because one, if we are silent on this case, then the people out there will not know what is really happening. So the media play a crucial role in terms of disseminating this information to the general masses out there. And then I'm very glad that Waves Gambia invites the media, the victims, to also come together to have a discussion with authorities, with CSOs, to have a dialogue. Then we will be able to know each of our stand, because these three parties have to work hand in hand to make sure that they work smoothly. With the CSOs, the media, we are here to complement each other's effort.
Finally, what will be your final message before we leave you?
As a media person, it is our mandate to go back to our media houses to report on these cases, to enlighten people on the post-TRC report when it has to do with the transitional justice. Because as a person, as a human rights activist, and also as a media person, I believe that justice needs to be served for these victims that were perpetrated, and that's where that went under so many things. Some were actually shot with gun, and then they have to face many operations before they can actually get their self, and some lost their lives. So it is our mandate as media to report to the public. Let justice be served for these people that were tortured during this era.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Fatmata Sankare, and I am a final year student in the University of the Gambia studying journalism.
We've seeing you also witness this training that is organized by WAVE and other stakeholders.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what you've learned so far?
Okay, I think that this training or conference, I can say, is very important, as there are so many things that I didn't know about before I attended today's conference. I do hear about TRRC before, but I didn't know some of the things that they have achieved, some of the recommendations that I've had today, some of and some of the victims, their statements and all of that. And I feel like it has enlightened me more. And when it comes to the victims too, some of their stories that were told, I've heard of them. I've heard that people have suffered like during the former regime, but I've never, like, on a face-to-face level, seen or heard people talk about their stories. And based on what I've heard today, it makes me sad, and it makes me feel like as Gambians, there are so many things that we are not aware of that, like, we need to shed more light on. We need to give chance to the victims. We need to make them feel like they are more than just what they have been through. Because we've seen one of the cases, the person who has been suffering for 25 years. And I cannot imagine someone else going through that. So events like this and this conference, for instance, it has widened my horizon and I've learned a lot from it.
How does it make you feel to see journalists or aspiring journalists taking part on this particular training?
Okay, so as we all know, journalists are the voice of the voiceless. So we are the ones, let's say we are the mediators between the people and the government, between the people and organizations, between the people and victims. So I feel like it is very important that I am not a journalist per se, but I'm aspiring to be one. I am in my final year. So situations like this, or some of the explanations that I've heard, it, as an aspiring journalist, these are some of the cases that I want to cover, because people need to hear more about it. Like I said, I didn't know most of these things were happening in the Gambia, and I can tell like many others don't know too. All they can tell is TRRC, they have uncovered some people were killed and stuff like that, but they don't go into specifics. We don't know what specifically happened. So as journalists, it is our duty to learn some of these stories and also tell it to the public. Let the public know. Like, let the public do something about it. Let them know, let them hold the people accountable. People, like some of the suffering that they have been through, they are people that are responsible, need to be held accountable. So I feel like it is important for journalists to be here so that they could serve as watchdogs, so that they could be mediators and tell the public, tell the Gambia, tell people at large some of the stories we have heard, some of the accomplishments of the TRRC, some of the recommendations, which I've never even heard of that. And there are like 268 of them, and I've never heard of any of these recommendations. But because I've attended today, I know, and I could use what I've learned today to also educate the others, to also educate so many more Gambians. And if another person does that, then we will be aware. Because like history cannot repeat itself if the people are well aware of it. Yeah, so that I feel like it's important.
Finally, what will be your final message to the viewers?
Okay, so my final message to the people is that platforms like this are there to tell us some of the happenings. Like the lady said, um, thousands were, we have so many youths in the Gambia. We cover around 70% of the population, but only few are here. So I feel like the few that are here, we are not just representing ourselves or our media houses, but we are representing the Gambia at large. So we should come out, we the journalists and the aspiring and those who are already journalists, they should come out and tell the public some of the things that are happening about this transitional justice that many people are not aware of. Let's educate the public. and let them know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Secretary General of Network of Human Rights Journalists in the Gambia. Time journalists ka fo wambe jamen ka hala wadi online nyando ko jibe ila sefer la
ngaji fana nata ni workshop woni ka mali sa fo no mole ke yemune karani workshop do.
Thank you very much. Baraka bake ni workshop be kende ka hala wadi online nyando jibe man toro ko men ko ta Gambia dum men ko hala wadi man kanja ni man sa kula tambila jam ni manke program floti nga aten nga min maga fla nyam farati nga program jama mari ngamen karanji wala ko men ka jibe ko men ya ko le mu mantora molti ila nyando mu neti andu lonku ngoni nyanda kila ila nyando ni ka tankandi anu lonku nyanda kila ka jibe tol be na community ko nyame be sato ko nyame from dimba from la famille to lamba fokana sato ko fo banko be ma mol ke jibe nyaadi ani mol ke mo nyaadi be mo ndo ko nyim boyte kam pour kana kay tan di mol la ko amanke kuti ko men mo nyanda ke kadafi akan ke jira yakan anta kala mol nyanda kala mo nyanda ngaji ko nge ya yakan bala famu te feje ngam fanje ila position ngaji ko men kidela asikelo mol be ani also fona ndol jonso ngaji ko men ko ila kuma ka men kitela kane de yafi akana ki mon dum ka fu ngam mo ila mol bare ay ke kuma ka wonta ay bo mol fo mo da ko anu jonso le mol men ko wol sa fran do mol male du ka fa xam ko mo nek kitani la an wala ma fonde ndol jonso le fona na sa fran ga tan mol ko men ko min yaran ko demar kaful min yaran ko isi demaro keno because ni si va kitela ika twawul ka men ko traumatize ika imari ka jakalle ika demunne because ika kuma si fa jama ma nim barjata timbala min fawti litela ila khada ma ka lanju do man dikel so ngajibe ko men nyumul men ya ko lanjuro tante kana lanjuro nyi men ya ko wala ila khada ma nyando men tiyata wala lanjuro so joni so kay tan dunya ka fo le min ya ko wala kalo nyumul la ke ma ko ani ma surtout ma sakunda fam yalla ko len ma sakunda fam pour ka jego mol men tada men ya ko ni bol kete kan isi makoro ke no nyadi la ba ila compensation ka me compensation or reparation ni ko compensation amante ko men ko ye ko jambo dal masika yadi mon ani isa mari samano dolbe je wole courant sota ko le isi samano di kaja kale samba lotan do ke jara ani ka taymo le wato wati ke samano docteur la do ke jibe ka diko because courant kilin ka fidi da kanare libaro men ke jara timbala men kete la asi courant jamal findinno biya su courant do findinno so mo fana findo findinno si ne fa findo findo so e ka wati dile wato wati e kada docteur ke jibe ke balo ke ka jibe ko man to kula findite bala yo to joli so le puna e ka findini ka tan do dunya mo la ko ni mo be kambe janne ani ma sakunda ka ni ko ni mo be kambe janne ani ini tam ini sura ma ko rolla asuri sura ma ko na ma manje ko do de mari de bari kay kalo fe ka solidarity tan dila kay tan diko ma sakunda bal fele yin ka fol bal fele anda la kuma ko ngamoyle anda bilari ni mi alan ko ma sakunda ma nyala o men be do ko ne e ma nyina la ko le mal tuye fere isi makro si fa sibero keno ba keno de makro si bo dawda be fere ko la ko makro samanda wala non do so na de ko fete de mole
ko kilo mole ni den kala be alan ka ko tan den ya ba ke la wala ete keta ko mo tumi alon ko mo victime oti mo journalist oti bari mo victime on fa and then it mo make victime mo de do so that many alon they are also victim you understand so saying and then journalist or let's say victime oli tata men be kono and then PRC the recommendation on men be na and in government that speech on about recommendation on in can make so and then victim oli justice sort of it's a mirror fi government the serious thing about la level or la speed ben yadi about that to implement that to make sure that justice yetama
baraka ba yake ba o TRRC bilu TRRC la birang masakunda ya londi fa keta abanda bira banda yo kuma kono sa fe ko to ya jame ko ya tamale enta do mi ngende tamale o molka menit limbalata yenta ka manda min dila ani menit limbalaka do mi ngende tamale ka amanke nte jiro je ngaji nyame masakunda mon pare TRRC recommendation ka tamande bawo masakunda ni political will beje bawo biri ni masakunda fen de drong aman sanji fula ci TRRC wulendi tata parliament ye loi pass na pour TRRC commission aussi keno pour la jigi simbol sama kite minute black mo le bambay wala bawo ni sande mo sanji gellam amanki so ndaje ko men ko min fo private sector men be masakunda la bandal o lefo be sulori kende ke pour TRRC recommendation o tama dina masakunda fonde after bi gambe jono la million ta ya duni TRRC kono han sa nga TRRC bon ni sa ndema nga sanyi jama fo nga sanyi lo benda han sa fi mom fonoji so ndaka jiro nga jamenda masakunda ay TRRC ila tanyu ko yin kala ya kanin political siloti because dole ya jire ko ni ama ni ko be TRRC implementation sambanda politician o masakunda men botaji wala mul taji ko modanga yi masakunda yi nga support wol be bando masakunda because modo do masakunda ko han sai para still le mudi masakunda yi wolta ke samara nyin do ko la nyin masakunda ko dole wala mul ta to masakunda ko mena ko wala nyin tilimbala ke mol la nyin banko kaya so ni wol kisika ko samba ko mul ne ko samara masakunda e ko place badila wala kay tan ni gambe di ngol le ko men ye mantro so nyin masakunda koma ala haji bal burje dol ma wori o masakunda dum fana fondo ila tasira dum boya ko ajibe ko men ko sa nindu la jik sa ndo lamarlo kana bo mu laftande hala marlo makon o tamule minayo lo tamandle so o benyi ni abe jibe at eno vile kajir ko masakunda man da sawarling ni pour ka TRRC recommendation ni tamandi i make haji kuti i make sula kote nata no yake sula kote yake la haji kuti no bi TRRC ye sembo menta ye TRRC sulo kanyadi pour ka alondi ka sabatinde be nyun ko wanda yendo sula ko fana kala ko take recommendation nyin ay sabati ay lo mo mo yalon ko ye ko menke ye do ila kilo men nyanda ke jiso nyabu jiso nyabo abo gadi
final ni la ya mar la bondi ko mun gila diber la final message
ko men do nga fo nyamen do mol men kada victime sa ko men yalan ko ibenda re kada kanya pinkan sabo ko men nyapin kan ke la nyoya ani men yang ko nyapte kan ye muda ye samba ye diten blado fo la hada mayal buten ikana je ko nyun mu molen meran ko isono mo bi ko men e mankende a nyama to lambo hani alngal la moy la ko molla ngal du ko wati hani amar yisilo ko sa ko mon yangi ka ibe nyadi le ko tan ke kayiden le ko men ko mbali fele ya understand bar ko men alkal nyaka sa kar nata be do ko he kar nyon ya nyum tamo yam do ya bude bi da fal o ibo da kan de fenge o sifal man betia si nyoko mon ne mo fo jabi silo kam fa yala ko he nyum bidata nyum ko kono isa ko mon no ya fa e mbe ko do kan do ko yalla ko nyadi ifane biso mo ko me ka confidence ya mari la ka kaitan dala ko society ni mbe fele andum ko men keta ke da ko ngol lade bar ko men ko ay gambe dingol be affect bawo mbe mo gambe dingol so society ni na nyomu da nyo ya kende ke ba dia mbentema anin kan ta mbentema a ko nyin ay continue kan yo advice na ko la anin na right mbent yes